That's what it's like to lose yourself. And that's what it's like to give your entire existence and the meaning of your life to chasing your dreams. And then when the battle, when the battle to go and achieve your dreams is too much and you get shot down too many times and you get exhausted and you give up and you're weak and you're frail, and that fire to keep fighting, when that leaves your spirit, what do? Who are you now? And how do you get back up? Because you're not gone, you're not dead, you're just. This last year of my life, I risked so many things. I moved cities all by myself. I left my family. I just brought me and my little Chewini, my dog, and I moved to a new city with no job in line, just a dream and a vision. I'm 28 years old. I've lived a lot of life. I've had a lot of different lives. And I just want to talk about it today. I really did lose myself over this last year, um, because my life and what I thought it was going to be has just completely fell apart. I haven't felt joy in a really long time. I lost a bunch of friends and I just stayed in bed and I completely cut myself off from the world. No longer, I like posted less on social media, not TikTok though, because I would have like random thoughts where I like needed to rant or something, and I post on TikTok a lot, but stop posting on Instagram as much, completely like kind of just like cut my friends off, stopped going out as much, um, just became a recluse. And I realized when I couldn't get out of bed anymore that I had absolutely no life goals. I didn't know what I wanted anymore. I didn't have any goals that I was actively working towards. I didn't have anything that what made me excited. And that's when I knew I was really depressed. And that's when I knew that this next phase of my life was going to be out of my hands, out of my control completely, because there was no vision, there was no focus for me to go towards. There was only space. And in this space of what I saw my future as, there was no hope. I gave up. Okay. Because I feel like everything that I experienced that year, maybe you could learn something from it. Because me, I'm still struggling to learn what the lessons were from last year. Because it was a lot of ending, but a lot also, I had a lot of beginnings, but it was constant ending, ending, ending. Relationships, jobs, stuff like my stuff in my life. I had constant endings, and I had to fight like literally every month. I had to fight to get over something, to work towards saving something in my life, to not lose something. I had to fight and I had to hold on, and I had to keep waking up every single day, and I was exhausted, and I was also coping, and I was using vices and to try to get through it. And I did make it through. Thank God. It was my 28th birthday. It was my 27th birthday because I just turned 28 this year. It was my 27th birthday and I was in a really good spot. You know, I had just bought in a brand new car for myself because I like had this really old car, and I found like my dream car. And so I bought a new car for myself and I just felt so excited. And I was, going out with my friends a lot, and I just felt beautiful and I felt strong and I felt sexy and I just felt excited for life. I was dating, I was having a great time here. I was on a high. And then I started dating somebody who I met through my group of friends. And him and I dated for like 6 weeks. And one thing about me is I'm very intense. Okay. I seem to attract a lot of men who are very calm, um, but I'm very intense. So, I said something to him about how he was Snapchatting one of the girls in the group. And to be fair, that's how I met him, is through that girl in the group. But I got onto him multiple times about this. And it made me start feeling weird towards my friend, because even though like it wasn't like explicitly like, oh, you guys are cheating, or you guys are talking behind my back, like, because him and I weren't even in that space of a relationship yet. I also don't think it's appropriate for grown people to be Snapchatting each other pictures every single day, and they had like this whole streak. And anyway, I just feel like it was like very immature. So I got on to him about it. He ended up breaking it off, and so when he broke it off with me, I understood, because I know how I can come off, and I know that I'm a. It's hard for people. Not everybody's gonna like me. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I'm very polarizing personality, very intense. Some people like me, some people don't, and that's I've learned to accept that. So whenever he broke it off, I was just like, you know what, it's okay. He was really nice to me. He planned dates. Like, I had a good time dating him. With that, in the friend group, I said something, and drama ensued, and so basically slowly got pushed out of that friend group. Right, right as I was getting kicked out of this friend group, slowly pushed out, stopped being invited to things. My dream car gets wrecked, because I had left it parked on a side street, and I Ubered home because I'd gotten, party that night. And I came back to pick it up in the morning, and somebody had hit it, and ended up being totaled. Um, and these next 6 weeks of my life, next probably, yeah, 2 months or whatever of my life after my car got hit, was so insanely stressful. So stressful, because I'm in this brand new city all by myself, brand new space, a brand new career field. I'm super excited about that. But I'm also still bartending at the same time, because my marketing job, the pay wasn't enough in order for me to pay for my lifestyle for myself. So I was working two jobs. I was essentially working 7 days a week for about 4 months. In this time period, my car gets wrecked. Okay. I have nobody. I have nobody to go towards. So I had to get a rental car each week in order for me to afford it. I had to get a rental car each week. I would even scoot through the neighborhood to get to this rental car place on a scooter that I rented. And it was just constant. It was constant. There was no peace, because I had to run around for work 7 days a week. Then I had to constantly worry about getting a vehicle. Then there's the stress of the insurance that I'm going through. Then I have to take care of myself. I have to eat. I work out. I like to take care of myself. And so the stress was so much for me that I ended up just burning myself out in a way that I had never experienced before in my life. The burnout, the exhaustion, the constant stress literally drove me to the ground. Like, it grinded every single cell of myself to the point where I was just dust. I just felt like dust, just existing. And the only thing that kept me going was because I had to. I had no choice. I had no choice but to keep going. I had to go to work. I had to make money. I had to show up for myself. I'm trying to build this new life that I came to this new city for. I've been in the service industry since I was 16. Like, that was my first ever job. And I worked my way my whole adult life through the service industry, being a server, then being a bartender. And I stayed bartending for the last 8 years. And it's how I built my adult life. It's how I have everything that I have now because of bartending. I even worked my way through college, got my bachelor's degree in marketing through bartending. And I did it the entire time. In this space where I'm struggling now, because now I have these two jobs, and my dream car just got destroyed. I have to make sure I'm getting to work all the time. It was like I was being held back from this life that I came here for, that I felt called to come here for. It felt like I was being, you know, like, just like something was in my life being like, no, you're not allowed to keep going. No, you're not allowed to be successful. And I didn't know why. And then I started hating my marketing job, and I was like, I literally prayed for a job exactly like this. Literally, I wrote it down in my journal, and like a lot of aspects of this job, I literally manifested and prayed for it. And now I'm here, and I hate it. And I'm so stressed out, and I'm not making as much money as I need to. I'm struggling, I'm struggling, I'm struggling. I'm struggling in all aspects, physically, emotionally, mentally. And by the winter time, which I do struggle with seasonal depression, because I am definitely a summer girl. Like, I love the sun. So the winter is always very hard for me. And I knew this winter was going to be hard for me. Like I knew it because I had just gone through all this stuff and I'm struggling and I don't know what to do next. Usually I'm somebody who's like, okay, you know what? I don't like this anymore. I'm going to do something else. And I'll take action. I made myself stay in this marketing job because I literally wanted this job and I felt so ungrateful. And so I refused to quit because I also wanted the experience, you know. I take responsibility for everything that happened in my life last year. In a way, it felt like I destroyed myself. I ruined myself. But at the same time, I was trying to help myself. I was trying to move forward. I was taking the risk. I was doing the big things. I was putting myself out there. I was letting myself chase my dreams for real without anybody else's expectations of me. And and somehow I ended up exhausting myself to the point that I gave up, to the point that I don't even know who I am anymore. I came here with hopes, dreams, and visions, and now I'm like, what am I even doing? Who am I? Where am I going? My depression was so bad that I stopped working out, which is crazy because I've been working out for years. It's the only thing that's been consistent. All the chaotic periods of my life, all the good times of my life, working out has always been the consistent thing, and I basically gave up on it. As somebody who used to be so social, I became literally I like shut the world out. I got very angry, and then I ended up getting fired from my one of my bartending jobs, or my bartending job that I was doing with the marketing one. I ended up getting fired because I was pushing myself too much that I could no longer show up to that job in my best as my best self. I was so tired of moving too fast and giving up on things too fast because that's what I did in my early 20s that I was like, you know what? I'm going to force myself to stay here because I need to know that I'm not giving up. And so I forced myself to stay. I forced myself to stay through the bartending job, ended up getting let go. I forced myself to stay at the marketing job, ended up getting let go eventually. And both times I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, thank God, because I hated it. And so this last year of my life was me just pushing myself to just keep going with no direction, just the just the need to keep showing up. And not having direction is so hard. Not having direction of your life, it is one of the worst feelings. You know, if you're somebody who is very goal oriented, or you know you're working towards being successful in your career and you want to like make a lot of money, you want to be wealthy, and you have all these things you want to do, and you know all these things you want to achieve, and all these places you want to go, and you have somebody you want to be. You are somebody with a vision. You're a visionary. When you're a visionary who doesn't have a vision, who are you? In what way do you exist in this world if you're a visionary and you don't have a vision? I'm still kind of there, you know, I'm still struggling because all these things that I thought I wanted, the nice car, the friends, this new city, living in a certain beautiful, expensive apartment, having this job, this official job, I hated all of it. I didn't feel how I wanted to feel. And this is particularly in the career space because all of my focus, all of my drive, my reason for existing has always been focused on being successful, being somebody in a space, being somebody, achieving, doing, being seen, being praised for my accomplishments. That's all. I've never dreamed of having a family or well, I didn't when I was younger. Now you know, now I now I'm okay. I might want a daughter. Having a husband, I don't know. We're gonna have to work on that. Okay. I always just dreamed of being successful, having a successful business, and I even started a business. I have a brand. It's called Mesmery. It is a fashion brand focused mainly on jewelry, but just kind of like bold, unique pieces of jewelry that are kind of like spiritual. And you know, I built a brand, I built something for myself. And so when I lost myself and I lost the desire to continue working on my visions and working on my brand and making jewelry by hand and searching up for pieces and taking photo shoots. I took all of my own pictures for my brand. Everything that is my brand Mesmery, I have done all of it. I've done all the modeling, I've done all the photos on my website, I've done the all the website building. Like my soul, my creative, my soul, all of my spirit and my energy was is what Mesmery is. And to lose that fire in me just was just crushed me. Lay in bed scrolling on TikTok till 3 in the morning, waking up in the middle of the night, stress, fear. And even when I got medicated for my like anxiety, then I just became flat. I was no longer deep down here and I was no longer deep down in this hole of despair. I was just basically laying on the ground. If joy and excitement is like skipping up in the air and you're like flying, I was flat on the ground, just laying, staring at the sky. And that's a really scary place to be because all I have here in this city, in this space, is myself. And even though I kept working, I kept going, nothing was bringing me back to life. And so I've been thinking, what's going to bring me back to life? What is going to help me get out of this? I ended up going to a psychiatrist because I have some other things, mentally that I struggle with. I struggle with like really chronic anxiety. Um, and it's not the type of anxiety where it's like, oh my God, I'm so scared of the world. No, like, no, like, no, no, no. Like, I'm not scared of cat anxiety. I'm like, blow up my life, do big things, make big choices, anxiety. The way that I operate in fear is I don't flight, I fight. And I keep pushing and I take action. Think about like a soldier. A soldier, when you're in war, not to say that I'm like, and that level, but my last name is Guerrero. Guerrero. And that is relevant because if you look at your name and you look at the meaning of your name, you might identify with an aspect of it. And so I have two last names. One's Maya, one's Guerrero. Uh, my dad's last name, which is Guerrero, it means warrior, it means soldier. And so when I learned that, I was like, oh my God, that's crazy because that's how I view life. That's how I view the world. I am going to fight for this life. I'm going to fight to be here. I'm going to fight to live life in the amazing experiential, like life loving way that I can. And when I'm scared, before I wouldn't stop. I would fight and I would keep going and I would keep pushing through. And this is the first in my life where I stopped. I stopped. I gave up. I surrendered and I stopped fighting. And that's a really scary place to be. After getting psychiatric help, which I strongly recommend medication, okay? Like don't be ashamed. I've never been on so much medication in my life, but seriously, like this is how bad it got for me. Was that I was like, okay, I actually need professional help. Like I can't just like manifest my way out of this. I can't just like be optimistic out of this. Like I actually need professional help because I was struggling bad. I was having really bad like just really bad episodes and like abusing, you know, alcohol. And it was like it's the thing that helps me like fall asleep, but of course it doesn't help the anxiety. Like, okay, that's a whole other thing. When the battle to go and achieve your dreams is too much and you get shot down too many times and you get exhausted and you give up and you're weak and you're frail, and that fire to keep fighting, when that leaves your spirit, what do? Who are you now? And how do you get back up? Because you're not gone, you're not dead, you're just you're just a bit broken right now. my career is all that I think about. And the fact that I don't know what I want to do now and who I want to be next is really scary because what is my purpose? I wake up every day and I like to get things done. I'm very like, I love to achieve and I love to be productive and stuff. And now that I have nothing to work towards, I just feel like I'm starting over. But I just need to try. I just need to start trying again. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying again because I may not know what career field I want to be, or even if I want to have a career, but I know that I love to create videos. I love to create art. I love to share my stories so that people can feel not alone or they can feel inspired because listening to other people's stories helps me a lot. And this is also just the plight of a woman who doesn't have kids. This is the plight of the new American woman. You live your own life. I live my own life. I do whatever I want. Nothing stops me. The only thing that stops me is me. And the only thing that keeps me going is me. And I guess these are the life lessons that we were never told about because most of us weren't going through periods like this. Most of us at this age back then, had kids and were just working their 9 to 5, or they got married and they just had a household. And like, even the working moms, they had kids and like their focus was raising kids. But when you have nothing to raise and all you have to live for is yourself, maybe your dogs, because I do have 2 dogs now, but you just have yourself to worry about. Eventually, that gets kind of boring. Not to say that I want to just like change my life and I'm bored and I want to have kids, because kids for me have always been a very scary thing because I grew up with a single mom and I'm the oldest and I just saw it and it just doesn't look very fun. Not that I'm going to be a single mom, but just having kids just looks very stressful. And I just had a very stressful childhood as well. Um, Not bad, just stressful. So, yeah, my old life, I don't even want to be in anymore. So I don't even want to go back to what I was, but I don't know where I want to go next. And so that's where I'm focusing or trying to figure out, where am I going next? Let me know if you guys have any thoughts on that, or if you've experienced this, or you've had family go through this, because I feel like this is just part of the human experience. And, you know, it's scary when you have nobody to talk to or nobody really understands. But, YouTube always ends up finding the right people. And I make videos, and sometimes I feel like nobody really cares or listens, but some people do. And sometimes it really does help. So let me know what you think. If you got this far in the video, I'm shocked. Thank you. Maybe can you comment like a flower or something? Your favorite flower emoji, because I love flowers. It's supposed to be a sunflower, but I'm pretty sure it's a dandelion, which is fine. I also like dandelions as well. Oh, that was cinematic. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.